Hello everyone, the sea has always held secrets. It is vast, endless, and untamed, a place where mysteries are born and swallowed by the waves. Among its many legends, none are more chilling than the stories of ghost ships, vessels found adrift in perfect condition, but eerily empty, their crews vanished without a trace. Of all these tales, one phantom ship stands out, a vessel discovered sailing silently across open waters, its sails intact, its cargo untouched, but not a single soul aboard. No blood, no signs of struggle, just an eerie emptiness that whispers of something beyond explanation. This is the story of that ship, the ghostly voyage that has haunted sailors, baffled investigators, and inspired tales of curses, supernatural forces, and fates too strange to comprehend. The discovery took place in the late 19th century, when shipping routes were expanding across the Atlantic. Merchant vessels carried everything from fine fabrics to barrels of rum, and the sea was alive with trade. But along with riches came danger. Storms that swallowed ships whole, pirates that prowled for prey, and diseases that wiped out entire crews before a voyage ended. Yet nothing could explain the phantom ship that was spotted one gray morning by a passing brig. The lookout saw it first, a three-masted vessel drifting slowly with the current, its sails tattered but still catching the wind. There was no flag to signal its identity, no crew visible on deck, and no sound except the groan of the timbers as the ship rolled gently on the waves. The brig's captain ordered his men to approach, curiosity tempered by caution. As they drew closer, they could see that the ship bore no obvious damage. Its hull was intact, and the rigging, though weather-worn, still held. When the boarding party climbed aboard, what they found chilled them to the bone. The deck was deserted, footsteps in the dust, but no living soul. The cargo hold was filled with barrels and crates, untouched, not a single item missing. In the galley, food sat half prepared, as though the crew had left in the middle of cooking and never returned. A pot of stew, spoiled with age, still sat on the stove. In the captain's quarters, charts were spread across the table, a logbook opened to the last entry, dated only days before. There was no sign of illness, no mention of mutiny, no warning of disaster. It was as if the crew had simply evaporated into the salt air. The strangest detail was the ship's lifeboats. They remained secured, ropes still fastened tightly, proving the crew had not abandoned ship willingly. The sails, though ragged, had carried the vessel onward without direction, as if it were guided by invisible hands. The crew of the brig, unnerved by the silence, searched every corner, calling out for survivors. But the only answer was the hollow echo of their own voices. Below deck, they found clothing neatly folded in trunks, a child's doll lying on the floor of one cabin, and a half-written letter on a desk, the ink smeared as though the writer had been interrupted mid-sentence. The more they searched, the colder the air seemed to grow, an unnatural chill that crept into their bones. Some swore they heard faint whispers in the hold, though no one else could confirm it. After hours aboard, the boarding party returned, shaken and disturbed, carrying the captain's logbook as their only clue. The mystery spread quickly. Newspapers dubbed it the Phantom Ship, a vessel cursed by the sea or stolen by forces unseen. Theories erupted like waves against rocks. Some claimed the crew had been struck by sudden madness, leaping into the sea one by one until none remained. Others whispered of sea monsters, unseen leviathans dragging sailors into the depths. A few suggested pirates, yet no valuables were stolen, and no blood was spilled. The most chilling theory of all came from sailors who believed in the supernatural, claiming the ship was taken by restless spirits. Its crew claimed as part of a bargain or punishment in the weeks that followed. The phantom ship was towed into port, where authorities examined it. Doctors found no trace of disease, no poison in the food or water, and no bodies aboard. The ship itself was seaworthy, its cargo perfectly preserved, its timbers unscarred by battle or storm. Yet the logbook offered no answers. The last entry described calm seas, steady winds, and a crew in good health. After that, silence. The official report listed the case as unexplained, but sailors who walked past the ship in the harbor claimed they felt a strange presence, as though unseen eyes followed them from the darkened windows of the cabins. Some swore they saw shadows moving across the deck at night. Long after the ship had been emptied, the phantom ship became legend. Its name passed in whispers among sailors at taverns, each retelling adding new layers of dread. Some said they saw it still, drifting across the horizon in storms, a pale light glowing in its rigging, its deck lined with silent figures that vanished when approached. Others swore that those who set foot aboard would be cursed, plagued by nightmares of drowning until their own lives ended at sea. The tale grew until it was more than a story. It was a warning, a reminder that the ocean does not give up its secrets easily, and that sometimes the greatest danger is not what you can see, but what you cannot. The story of the phantom ship did not end in the harbor where it was towed. In fact, some say that was only the beginning. Sailors whispered that the vessel was cursed, that no matter how many times it was anchored, it would always return to the sea, drawn by unseen forces. And in the years that followed, sightings of ghostly ships continued to emerge across the world, each echoing the same eerie details: vessels found adrift, cargo untouched, but with no living crew to explain their fate. One of the most chilling modern accounts came from a fishing trawler off the coast of Nova Scotia. The crew spotted a large vessel drifting silently across the fog, its sails hanging loose though no wind stirred. At first, they assumed it was a derelict ship, but as they drew closer, they saw no flag, no lights, and no movement on deck. The trawler's captain hailed it, sending a signal into the mist, but no answer came. When they circled the ship, they swore they saw pale figures standing at the rails, watching them in silence. Yet when they blinked, the deck was empty once more. One fisherman claimed he saw a lantern swinging gently, though no one held it. Terrified, the trawler turned away, but when they looked back minutes later, the ship was gone, swallowed by the fog as though it had never been there at all. Another account surfaced in the Pacific during World War II. Naval patrols reported an unidentified ship drifting in contested waters. Believing it to be enemy transport, they approached cautiously, weapons ready. Yet as they closed in, the ship seemed oddly lifeless. Through binoculars, officers saw torn sails and broken masts, but no crew. Boarding was considered, but before they could act, a sudden storm engulfed the vessel. When the skies cleared, the ghostly ship was nowhere to be seen, as though it had dissolved into the sea itself. Veterans told this story long after the war, swearing that what they had seen was no ordinary derelict, but something older. Something beyond reason. Paranormal researchers have long debated the phenomenon of ghost ships. Some suggest they are illusions, mirages created by the ocean's strange ability to bend light. Others argue they are echoes of the past, imprints of ships and crews forever replaying their final moments. There is also the belief in curses, that certain ships carry with them a darkness, a burden that dooms their crew and condemns the vessel to sail forever, crewed only by shadows. The phantom ship that was found drifting in the Atlantic seems to fit all these theories and none at once, because its mystery was never solved, and because its story refuses to die. Perhaps the most unsettling detail is the pattern of dreams reported by those who spent time aboard the phantom ship. After it was towed into harbor, dock workers, guards, and even curious locals who stepped onto its deck spoke of nightmares that followed them, dreams of endless ocean, of drowning hands pulling them down, of being aboard the ship again, but surrounded by figures with hollow eyes. One man described waking up to find seawater pooled on his floor, though no leak existed. Another claimed he could hear the sound of creaking timbers at night, as if the ship itself had followed him home. These stories caused fear to spread through the port city, and eventually the ship was sold off, removed quietly from the harbor. Where it ended up remains uncertain, though some believe it was deliberately sunk, chained and weighted, to keep it from haunting the living ever again. But sinking does not stop a curse. Reports of the phantom ship continue to appear long after, in places far from where it was last seen. Sailors crossing the Atlantic at night spoke of spotting a familiar silhouette on the horizon, its sails glowing faintly in the moonlight, vanishing the moment they tried to approach. Fishermen off the coast of South America described a vessel that seemed to appear out of nowhere, drifting silently for hours before fading into mist. In each case, no crew was ever seen, and those who encountered it often suffered strange misfortunes afterward. Equipment failing, sudden illness, or unexplained accidents at sea. Skeptics dismiss these tales as superstition, pointing out that the sea is vast and cruel, swallowing ships without reason. They argue that stories of ghost ships are simply human attempts to explain tragedy. Yet the phantom ship stands apart, because it was real, boarded, and examined, and yet its mystery was never solved. Its existence proves that some ghost stories are not mere imagination, but events rooted in fact. However unsettling those facts may be as the decades passed, the story of the phantom ship merged with maritime folklore, joining the ranks of the Flying Dutchman and the Mary Celeste. Yet, unlike those legends, the phantom ship's fate remains uncertain. Was it destroyed, or does it still sail, cursed to drift without end? A reminder of the sea's ability to erase lives in silence. Perhaps somewhere tonight, a sailor staring across the horizon will see its silhouette, wet against the setting sun, a ship with no crew and no flag, gliding on a course to nowhere. And perhaps that sailor, like so many before, will carry its story back to shore, keeping the legend alive for yet another generation. The ocean hides more than wrecks and waves. It holds secrets that may never be uncovered, mysteries that float between superstition and truth. The phantom ship is one of them, a chilling reminder that the sea does not give up what it takes, and that sometimes, even when the evidence is right before us, the explanation remains just out of reach. For in the end, the question is not only what happened to the crew, but why the ship itself seems destined to return again and again, carrying with it an emptiness that chills the soul. Thank you for watching. And if this mystery stirred your imagination, don't forget to subscribe to Moon Cipher, where the sea, the shadows, and the unknown come alive in every story. Stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, the ocean always keeps its darkest secret.